Alright guys, welcome back to our Let's Code of our Megaman-X platformer. In the last episode we did our wall jumping animations and did a little bit more animation optimization. This one I want to focus more on getting the X-Buster working, of course. So what I went ahead and did is imported some other sprites that I had lying around from my other controller or my other game builds. It's just basically the X-Buster from the Megaman X4 and through X6 titles. We've got the Plasma Flash here, and then of course we have our Charge Flash as well. And of course all the other miscellaneous flashes and projectiles to help get us started here. What I would like to do is make just an array of parenting, like have a master controller for all the projectiles and then a subset of controllers for like small weapons, medium weapons, big weapons. Those small, medium, big weapons will help like define different amounts of damage that they can do against enemies, for example, which in the enemies will define how much small, medium, or big damages our projectiles can do. We will also be using a custom script for our player. This way we won't have to repetitively say instance create XY obj object index. But since we'll be doing a little bit of an aiming system later on, that's also going to be the case. Or that's also why too, so we can shoot our projectiles at certain angles, like a diagonal up, a diagonal down, or a straight shot. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start define a whole bunch of not sprite or controller objects here. I'm going to call this one CTRL weapon master. This will be like the family of all of our weapons. I'm going to go ahead and add a create. Actually, no, I'm not going to add a create event just yet. Actually, yeah, I probably should, because we're going to initialize some master variables. So we're wait. Oh wait, we're not gonna do it here. We're not actually. You know what? I don't think we need to define any variables. Never mind. Okay, so we might come back to that later. So CTRL weapon small. This will be for our like our big or like our little pellet, little pea pellets or little lemon pellets. There we go. And we'll parent this to our master controller here. Go ahead and create a new subgroup called weapons, and then another subgroup under that called X-Buster. And then here we will define our X-Buster. So we're going to call this obj underscore X-Buster. We'll start with the little weapon flash here. There's it. Buster Plasma, and then we're going to create a little individual weapon variable called SPD is equal to 0. I'm going to use this as a speed variable, like for how fast our projectile can move, and then I guess now in the master controller we'll have in the step event say motion set direction SPD. Now, the reason I say direction is because we're going to be using like angled shots as I mentioned before, so straight, diagonal up, or diagonal down. And then SPD is like how fast it can go, and SPD we need to define in each and every single of our weapons here. So, and I'm also going to create an animation end to set the sprite index. I don't need to really have code for this, so I'm going to have sprite index. Actually, yeah, I might as well do a little bit of coding here, actually. So, if sprite index is equal to SPRX Buster Plasma, sprite index is equal to SPRX Buster. And then, also, we will set SPD equal to 4, so we can update our thing. So basically, we're checking to see if our sprite index is equal to our plasma here, and if so, it will change the index to like the actual projectile, and then we'll start firing, or the projectile will set its motion when we set SPD to 4. Okay, because right now it'll be 0, and therefore we'll be going at a standstill until that animation ends. All right, So it's good to maybe start with that. We're going to go to our X controller now and define a new piece of code here in our blocks of code here. I'm going to set this between the animation handling and the time decrement controllers just because. And I'm going to set this to the X, or I'm going to call this the X Buster controller. So the first thing we need to do is to define some of our inputs, and then those being key, shoot is equal to key under or keyboard check pressed. And again, you can use any button, whatever's convenient for you. I'm gonna actually normally I use the E key when I'm shooting, but I'm gonna try. See what button do I want? What button do I want to use? All right, let's try L this time. Ord L. Let's try that. And then key charge is equal to keyboard check ord L. It's a weird key, I know, but I mean, if I want to have the functionality even using both of your hands, if I like you mashing on another button, for example, then that might be the way to go. And another variable I should define too is one called charge down here. For the timers, it is technically a counter slash or timer because like when you're holding it down, it starts incrementing and stuff. All right. So now we got that. You can just say shoot the X Buster. Okay. So if we press the shoot key, we're gonna start simple here because it might get more complex later on in the future. So if we hit the shoot key, what we're going to do, I'm going to start by just like setting sprite indexes just to make sure all that is working. Down here at the bottom, I'm going to say shoot timer is equal to 25, yeah, and then our flash timer to a small number, I'm going to say 8. It'll kind of add like as a muzzle flash, for example, even though we'll be animating and stuff. Anyhoozle. Excuse me. I'm going to start with one at a time here. So if check index idle, image in. Oh, actually, we should set these at the top here, just to have it make sense, so we can have these execute first before this gets executed second. So image index is equal to 0, and then we're going to animate the player again to be idle. We don't have a shooting case because when our shoot timer is greater than 0, since now it's going to be equal to something greater than 0, we will assign our shoot index here. Symbol expected. Okay, we'll just do that too. And then I'm going to go into our updater controller here. And just say if check index idle and shoot timer is greater than 0. We'll say shoot timer is equal to 0. Flash timer is equal to 0. And then again, image index is equal to 0. Animate player idle. Just do that. Now if I run the game, we should see like an animation for when the player shoots. So he comes in. Oh wait, it's the L key. Yeah, that's basically what I wanted to see there. Bang, bang, bang. And then of course, if I were pressing the L key here and I let go, you can see that his cannon is still out. So now we need to apply this to the other states here. So let's go ahead and just bustle through these here really quick. We will be adding another script here to like fire the projectiles, and like I said, I just want to work with the animations first before I get the actual projectiles in or whatever. if we check our index run, we're going to just animate our player again to the run case, and that should help us with animating our player there. Let's see what happens. Oh wait, it's L. I keep using. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to create a little loophole here for running, just so we can keep updating our flash timer and stuff, because the flash timer and the shoot timers are decrementing. It's just we can't visually see that. So what I'm going to do is just quickly say if check index run animate player run. And since we're not like resetting our image index to be 0 here or anything, it will just like constantly update our sprite indexes. So what we should see is just a little bit of a flash, and then we'll see the cannon out after the flash timer is 0, and then the cannon be put away. Yeah. That works. Boom. Cool. Just to help optimize things too, it doesn't make sense like if like the flash timer is not greater than 0, or if it's just if the flash timer is 0 but the shoot timer is greater than 0, to see that like the player is still flashing. So I think what we really should do is reset or set our image index here to be something bigger than what it really should be here. So 8. There we go. Just do that. And then we need to set that flash timer to be something smaller, because that seems to be kind of a big flash. It's like if we're shooting a charge shot instead, which maybe that's a good number for our charge shot later. But we want something more like half that, like 4. Let's try that. And maybe we could have set that to 20 as well. So I'm going to set that to 20, and that will apply to the next time we run the game. Ugh. Yeah, that's a lot better. Do you kind of see how it's flashing? That's basically what our conditions are doing inside the animate player sprite case. And of course, it will do that like for when we're jumping, but it won't update when we're jumping yet, because we haven't really defined it yet. So if check index jump animate player jump. So we're doing these loopholes, but it's what helps us like reset our sprite indexes and stuff. And then we need to go back into this animation handling controller. I want to say we can just say animate player jump here. I had a little bit of trouble in my other builds, like putting this in the spot while we're already jumping. So be careful where you place this. And I think that's where I placed it. I can always go back and see for myself. Ugh, excuse me. Excuse me again. There we go. So that applies for when we're jumping too. Perfect. Okay, that's what I want to see. So if the combinations of what I'm doing here. So like I'm running, I'm running, I'm shooting it, and then instantly jumping, just to make sure the cannon gets put away. So we want efficient animation switching, which is what is basically happening, as you can see here. Uh-oh. Except that's broken now. And I know exactly why. It's because I put that in there. Or I put it in, not here. Here. Which we need to change that and put that image index is equal to 8 into a different spot. Alright, let's open this up just a little bit so I can see what's going on without I'm trying to figure out what is going on here. And I'll put this in a set of brackets here too. And then move this comment up to here, and then fill in that gap. And then because what I'm going to add here is if shoot timer is greater than 0, image index is equal to 8, and that should solve our problem there. I guess we need to do one for landing too, otherwise it might not work as efficient. That doesn't want to seem to work either. Okay. Let's see. So if check index is equal to run, so for running, I'm trying to get that effect from like when we're stopping from a run as you saw earlier. There we go. There we go. Okay, well it's a little rusty, but it'll work. So now we need to get one for our landing, of course, even though it's kind of like an instant kind of, or it's instant, you don't see it as much, but it just doesn't hurt to have that in just to have something efficient. So if check index land animate player land, and of course we'll do a similar loop here in the animation controllers, and then if check index land animate player, and this will just help this just helps us update our timers visually, even though they're working in the background. And that should do it. Yeah, you can see it kind of going on in action, but oh, we need to define it for our wall jumps, of course. Wall jump, animate player wall jump. I think that's already, or like the animation updating is already being. Let's do it here. If check index wall jump animate player wall jump. Okay, yeah, and of course we need to kind of recenter our player because you can see he kind of bulges into the wall and then comes back out of it, if you see what I mean there. Okay. I can do that off camera. I need to keep this ball rolling because I mean it's almost gonna be 30 minutes here if I keep going slow here. So now let's go ahead and do the actual coding of just getting in our X-Buster here. We're going to create a new script here, and we're going to call this Firebuster, and then make a comment here to explain what the arguments mean. Firebuster, X chord, Y chord, projectile.object, angle, and then actually we don't need to set a custom speed. Okay. So let's see. So var proj we're going to be making a local variable called proj, and then proj is equal to instance create x plus image x scale times argument 0. So we don't need to do x plus blank in this. We can just put a simple x coordinate in here. And then what that will do, similar also for the y coordinate, is we'll say x plus the way we're facing times our coordinate. So we're facing to the right, it'll be, in our x coordinate 16, it'll be our current x position plus 16 to the right. And then similarly, if we're facing the other direction, -1, it will be x minus 16 pixels to the left. And then we don't need to have a special case or special multiplication or addition here. It's just argument, if I can spell, argument 1, and then argument 2 for our projectile object there. And then we will say if argument 3, which is our angle, is equal to 0. So if it's not if we're not shooting diagonal up or diagonal down in a future video here, we'll just rely on just straight back and forth, and then we'll just say if image x scale is equal to 1, proj.motion set 0, which is by default going this way, and then spd, which is our speed variable we've defined in our projectile, and then call it good. Else proj.motion set 180, which is this going to the left, and then spd, of course. Variable name expected. Oh, dang it. Okay, well, we can just say instead with proj motion set, and then with proj unexpected symbol and express where what? Oh, that would have been an illegal if statement. That wouldn't make any sense. Okay, so if it's not equal to 0, else with proj motion set argument 2, so if it's like 20 for example, and then spd. Let's start with that, and that should work. Let's go ahead and see if we can get this into our these here now. So I've got some documentation here for these coordinates here. Oh, not that one. This one. So we're gonna say Firebuster, and our coordinates are, as I see here, are 16, 12, obj xbuster, and then we're gonna say 0 since we're not aiming straight, and we'll just start with that actually. Oh wait. Okay, it seems to be up there for some reason. That's strange. Oh, because I forgot to say y plus argument 1. Okay, my bad. Okay, and then try that, and then let's see. What am I missing here? There we go. So that projectile speed needs to be faster, obviously. So So I'm going to set that to 6. And it also needs to collide with our wall here. So I'm going to go into the master controller here and say when it collides with our floor controller, create a collision effect. And then we're also going to create a new script here as well. Make a subgroup called stage, create a script, and just say new effect, which is just basically doing the same thing as our instance create, but just saving us some typing. So new effect, X chord, Y chord, or let's say X, Y, and then effect object. Var F, we're going to create a local variable called F for effect. No, I didn't want to do that. F is equal to instance create argument 0, argument 1, and argument 2. And then f.image x scale is equal to negative image x. Wait, actually, no. There we go. So it's just like the collision can just do its thing. Or the image x scale could face the correct way and stuff. And then so we're going to say new effect xy or proj effect, which we will have to define in each and every sprite. And then we're just going to say instance instance destroy. Let's do that. And then we need to go into our XBuster here and just say proj effect is equal to obj underscore. Oh wait, f plas or col plasma. Which is going to be a collision object. We're just going to call plasma. Put this in the effects subgroup of our stage. Creating an object is called plasma. And then stage collision or player. Come on. Find our. Let's see, where is it? Plasma collision. Set the depth to be negative 60. And also we need to set this to be like negative 56 or 57 actually. And then just simply here, animation end. At the end of the animation, we're just going to destroy the instance. There we go. And then when we're outside of the view as well, we're just going to simply destroy the instance. And this will apply to all of our projectiles because all these are parented to their small or medium or big weapons, which is parented to this master controller. Now if we run the game, we should see this working. Nope. Boom. Alright, so it works. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and just whip right through these because I'm taking up a little bit of your time. I'm sorry for just going slow here. So I'll return back here in a couple minutes. Alright, I've went ahead and just applied this to our other animations. One thing I had to do though is set the angle to 180 and make a new or update my argument 3 conditions. So we have the original conditions here, but we have an else if statement for when it's facing 180. So if we need to shoot a direction opposite of what we're facing, example for our wall jumps, then that's where this comes in. In other words, and if this isn't the case, then we'll just set this to be a whatever angle that we want. So all these are in. These are all the coordinates. If you need a second to take a look and to see what my coordinates are for the strip that you guys might be using. But if I were to run the game, player spawns in, can run around, can shoot, can jump, and I can shoot. And then of course we can wall jump and we can just shoot, just like that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up, and in the next video we're going to wrap this portion of the game coding up with our charge shot projectiles, and until then I will see you guys later.